Nano Machine. By Hanjung Weolya. Chapter 6, Entering the Academy Part 1. Yowan's mother died when he was 10 years old. The Lord sent Dr. Beck to look after his mother, but it was too late. He later learned that his mother died due to poisoning. It was a type that was hidden inside food, and one could not detect the poison until it killed the target that consumed it, thus assassinating them. Yowan was also poisoned, but he did not have as much food and he was able to survive by taking Dr. Beck's medicine. After this incident, Jang always prepared his food. Jang always woke up early in the morning to train before preparing Yowan's breakfast. It wasn't sure since when, but Yowan always woke up early too and watched Jang go through his training. According to Wulin's standards, it was rude to peek at another's training, but Jang felt sorry for Yowan who couldn't learn martial arts and he didn't say much about it. And today, Jang was up early to train his dagger skills. It's today. Yowan stayed up late that night and now it was time for him to join the academy. Once he entered the academy's doors, he'd lose Jang's protection. He drew a long face as he looked at Jang's training. Would it have been better if I learned some of his arts at least? He always thought of this, but members of clans were always watching them so he couldn't learn. That's when the Nano machine spoke to him. Would you like to scan guard Jang's movements? What? Yowan opened his eyes in shock. Can you scan a person's movements too? It is possible. Then you mean you can scan Jang's martial art movements and transfer them to my head? Yes, master. And there is data of multiple martial arts techniques that I can transfer over to you at this moment. Yowan did not know, but the Nano machine was created with advanced technology from the future. He did not gain approval from Jang, but he was going to the academy in the afternoon. He had to make a choice. Okay. Scan it. Activating the scan. Yowan's focus began to shake rapidly and then started to scan Jang's movements. After staring at his movements for about 30 minutes, Nano's voice filled his head. Movement scan completed. Beginning transfer. And with the jolt, the movement began to play back in Yowan's head. And soon, it was complete. Transfer complete. With the slight dizziness, it was done. Yowan's eyes shined with astonishment. This was beyond amazement. Nano. I can't believe this. I think I can use Jang's dagger skill. Yowan closed the window so Jang could not see him and readied himself. It was the basic stance that Jang did before unleashing his skill. Yowan then swung his arm to unleash his dagger. He did not learn, nor was he taught, but his movements now matched Jang's movements outside. Jang had trained his actions for 20 years, but Yowan could mimic his movements perfectly. Nano's voice rang in his ears again. Muscle analysis complete for training the movements. Will you accept the transfer to your muscles? I need the muscle transfer too? Yowan asked curiously. If you don't have the proper developed muscles for your movement, you will. Ugh! Before Nano could finish, Yowan felt pain tearing through his entire muscle. It was so intense that he couldn't even move. There is muscle damage as it is not yet suitable for the movement. Okay, now I get it. Can you please make it easier for me to understand? Yowan thought as he barely got up and sat down on the bed, changing language to fit the user's level. Level? Yowan frowned as it didn't feel too good, but he couldn't understand fully either. Translation complete. You did not train like Jang for a long time, so your body is not yet accustomed to the movements that your brain has learned. Only after simulating the movements and analyzing the muscle development requirements can you use it fully. Okay. I think I understand better now. It's still hard. Most terms that Nano used were not used in people of current times, which was hard to understand. Would you like to lower the language level to the lowest level? No, that won't be necessary. So, if I transfer the muscle development, I won't have this bad pain. That is correct. Will you begin the transfer? How long does it take? Reshaping muscles will require every Nano machine inside the body, which will take loading time. Loading time? So how long will it take? Approximately 2 hours. It was still early in the morning, so 2 hours was okay. Yowan nodded and agreed with the transfer. Activating muscle transfer. It will come with strong pain, so you will be put under anesthesia. Does it hurt? It comes with severe pain. There have been millions of cases of fainting from the pain. Should I try it without anesthesia? Yowan wondered curiously. Will you proceed without anesthesia? If I can't bear it, can you put me to sleep? Yowan added. He soon realized he was not wrong in adding that last part. Beginning the proc. Chapter 7, Entering the Academy Part 2. After completing his morning training, Jang prepared breakfast. He was not a good cook, but 5 years ago, after Lady Wa's death, he had to start cooking for the young prince, and now he was very skilled at it. Most of the time he prepared a simple breakfast, but today he prepared red pig meat that he got yesterday with an egg. It was to congratulate Yeowon's admission to the academy. It was maybe the last time he could enjoy a meal without worry, so Jang paid extra attention to prepare it. I hope he survives to enjoy my cooking again. That's when Jang heard some screaming. Kaha. Yeowon's room was close to the kitchen, so Jang was able to hear it easily. He grabbed the sword and ran toward Yeowon's room. As he burst into the room, Yeowon was sprawled out with only his upper body on the bed and bubbles foaming from his mouth. He was unconscious. Prince! He quickly ran over and checked the prince's pulse. It didn't seem weird, as it was just like when he found him on the mountain 2 years ago. He's fine. What was he, huh? Jang then saw the faint trace of footsteps on the floor of the room. He placed Yeowon on top of the bed and checked the footprints carefully. Is it? He wasn't sure, so he placed his foot over the footprint and moved along with it. He was shocked. The footsteps represented the traces of his own dagger skills. A mere footstep would not leave a trace like this on a wooden floor, but martial arts movements sometimes left deep traces after pushing the feet down with hard stomps. What? Did he learn it on his own? It was unbelievable. Jang had trained for 20 years to achieve his skill, but this prince had taken the perfect steps. It would require at least years of basic training to accomplish this. He watched my training for 2 years at most. This made Jang dumbfounded. He watched my training for just 2 years and caught up to my 20 years of experience. It was unbelievable, but also it made his eyes turn red with tears. To him, Yeowon was always a person in need of protection and the son of the woman he thought of dearly. Realizing Yeowon's talent made him feel grateful. He then placed his hand on Yeowon's wrist and checked his internal energy. No energy, he just knows the movements. Maybe it was for the better. If it was revealed that he had learned to how use internal energy, it was going to enrage the 6 clans. Jang looked at Yeowon for a while and then walked out. 2 hours then passed by. Muscle transfer complete. Deactivating anesthesia. With a jolt in his head, Yeowon woke up from his sleep. Ugh! Yeowon got up, panting. He remembered the extreme pain right before he was put to sleep. He did not want to feel that kind of pain anymore. Ha! I will never try it again. I warned you, master. Yeah. It was Yeowon's choice to try it out. He then got up from the bed and walked to the center of the room to prepare himself to use the dagger skill. Now it won't hurt, right? Through the simulation, you now have the same muscles as the ones that practiced the movements for 20 years. Good. Yeowon prepared his stance and swung his dagger. The power seemed to be very different from a while ago, as his movements were more precise and accurate. As he stomped to move on to his next step, the wooden floor rumbled loudly. No! Yeowon was surprised and stopped immediately. The floor now had marks of his footsteps. This is bad. He became worried that Jang might see this. It leaves footprints even without internal energy. While he was thinking about it, that's when someone knocked on the door. Prince, your breakfast is ready. It was Jang. Yeowon pressed down on the area that had the footprint to remove it, but it didn't work. That's when the door opened and Jang walked in. Prince? Oh. Haha, I'm so hungry. Yeowon quickly got up and brought the table near the window to the center of the room. Jang asked curiously, don't you always eat by the window? Why yeah, but I won't be returning for a while, so I wanted to eat in the center. It was suspicious enough, but Jang silently placed down breakfast on the table. Yeowon sighed and sat down on the chair. Oh, breakfast was baked pig meat, fried vegetables, and the eggs that he loved. It was not a feast that the 6 clans enjoyed, but this was still lavish enough for Yeowon. He became silent as he knew that it was Jang's act of kindness for Yeowon, who might not return from the academy. Yeowon took the chopsticks and began eating with teary eyes. Strong emotions contributing to acid coming up the throat. Increasing saliva level. Please swallow the food with saliva to calm down the acid. Stop saying weird shit and shut up. Going into silent mode. Nano became silent and Yeowon swallowed his food. He couldn't leave any food behind. After a quiet breakfast, Jang began asking, when did you st? He couldn't say the word steal to his prince. Chapter 8, Entering the Academy Part 3. The demonic cult had the 6 clans, 3 guardians, and hundreds of small clans and groups. The demonic academy was opened once every 10 years to train a new elite individual. This current one had candidates that were the heirs to the Lord, so everyone labeled the academy as an heirship competition. And this was a wonderful opportunity for many small clans to side with the future heir to the Lord. Thousands of boys and girls all gathered to join the academy. The great training ground located right past the entrance of the academy was large enough to fit all the students inside. All of them looked excited and nervous about what's to come. It was because this was a chance to see the Lord himself who would join the opening ceremony. Look! It's the left guardian. If he's here, the Lord will be here soon. I'll get to see his face for the first time in my life. There was a middle-aged man with long red hair walking out from the left side of the giant stage, scoffing at children down at the ground. Fools. We only have fools this time. Or it may be the last time. The middle-aged man was the left guardian, Fire King Li Hamming, or the closest advisor to the Lord. The Lord had 3 guardians with him. The great guardian, left guardian, and right guardian only acted on the Lord's orders. They ranked within the top 10 of fighting prowess within the demonic cult. Are those the heirs from the 6 clans? Hamming glanced at the boys standing in front of all children. All students who entered the academy were given a round name tag with numbers. They were given the numbers based on the order they entered, but these princes were exceptions. They are quite something as kids. The other children were all lined up neatly, but these 6 princes arrogantly stood at the front as if they were telling everyone that they were on top of them all. Unlike others who had a white tag with black numbers on them, these princes had black tags with red numbers according to their rank to the succession. Wise Clan, Chun Muyan. Sword Clan, Chun Kungwon. Loyal Clan, Chun Mukium. Poison Clan, Chun Jongsum. Blade Clan, Chun Yuchan. Lust Clan, Chun Wonryu. They only had numbers on their tags, but Hamming knew their names. There were 2 girl candidates last time, and although there was only 1 girl this time around from the Lust Clan, he didn't really care. Everyone else is here, but I don't see him. Hamming swept his glance across everyone, but he couldn't find the one he was looking for. There was one boy who was getting all the attention from the higher ranks of the demonic cult. Oh, there he is. Hamming finally found the boy. He would not have found him if he didn't have a black tag. At the entrance, at the very end of the line, Chun Yowon stood there alone. The heir candidate not from the 6 clans. He was still a son of the Lord, but he couldn't come up to the front. And it also seemed like the other kids around him were shunning him. Therefore, he stood there alone. He's receiving attention in an interesting way. That was the end of the interest. Hamming knew that the boy did not train in martial arts, so he was going to fail the entrance test. There are so many. Chun Yowon was able to see the 1,000 children standing in front of him. He wasn't late, but he was told that his tag was missing and had to wait until the end. So even with the black tag, he couldn't go up to the front. It was certain that it was the work of someone from the 6 clans, but it didn't matter to him. It's best I avoid trouble with them from the beginning anyway. Chun Yowon liked that. They wanted to kill him even before joining academy, so it was better to not see them at all. The horn sound blared across the field, and people began to mumble. It was due to the person who had just entered. 1,000 boys and girls began to chant with shouts. A man with the character Sky on his black silk clothes got up and sat down on the throne up on the stage. It was the Lord, and one of the 5 strongs of Wulin, Chun Yuzhong. Even without his title, his presence was overwhelming even in front of 1,000 people. I can't even look at him directly. The boys had lost the courage to even look up to him. Next to the Lord was the lead guardian, Great Guardian King Mara Kim. He had a special mask on his face so that no one knew what he really looked like. Oops. And to the right of the throne was a ragged-clothed man who seemed to be having a hard time standing up as if he were drunk. He was the right guardian, Submang, the crazy blade. He acted silly, but he was still ranked within the top 10 strong men in the demonic cult. Huh? What are you looking at? Submang spat at Hamming, who looked at him with a disgusted look and took a sip from his bottle of liquor. Marakim then walked onto the stage and shouted, "Silence!" It was a voice laced with internal energy that spread through to everyone. The training ground went silent at once. "The most honorable one, it is ready." Marakim turned back and spoke quietly, and Lord Chun Yuzhong got up from his throne. "To all who have entered the academy, you will be the future of our cult." And unlike Marakim who shouted, the Lord spoke softly. However, his voice was crystal clear in the ears of the 1,000 boys and girls. It was proof of Chun Yuzhong's sheer power. "I welcome you in joining the academy. I hope you train and play your part in our cult." And that was it. Chun Yuzhong turned and Great Guardian Marakim spoke to him. That was a wonderful speech. The Lord then walked off the stage with Marakim guiding him. It was so short that it made the students fall silent, but soon they shouted and chanted. For the demonic cult. Chun Yo-won wasn't sure how he felt. He had never seen his father for 15 years, but he met his eyes with him for the first time. The Lord had found Chun Yo-won standing in the farthest part of the training ground as soon as he got up on the stage, but his gaze was so cold. I don't care anyway. He didn't appear when his mother, Lady Hua, died. There was no disappointment when he didn't care in the first place. That's when people fell silent as Fire King. Hamming stood up on the stage. With his speech, we will begin now. Mumble mumble. Stand straight. Humming's voice pierced through the air and the students shut up. I'll keep it simple. Listen up. Hamming began to explain the system of the Demonic Academy. The academy will last for 4 years and 6 stages. Everyone knew the academy lasted for 4 years. But there were some who had teachers or parents who did not attend academy, so they began to focus on the tests on each of the 6 stages. You can take the 6 stages in steps, and you can take it only once. Students began to mumble about only getting 1 shot at each stage. 1 failure meant that they would be cast out. You seem to get it pretty quickly. If you do not pass, you will be expelled right away. There was only 1 chance to rise up. That's when a handsome boy standing in the front row raised his hand. I have a question. It was the boy with number 2 on his tag. In second place for the throne, it was Chun Kung-won of the Sword Clan. Hamming was in the middle of his speech, but Kung-won confidently interrupted him. However, who said you could ask questions? What? Chun Kung-won's handsome face grimaced. He had been treated with respect from everyone around him because he was a prince, but it was shocking to be treated with hostility. Oh, so you have a problem with my attitude? Prince? You want to be expelled even before the competition? Left Guardian Lee Hamming spat angrily. Chun Kung-won was angered, but he couldn't say anything. He was reminded of what his guard warned him about the other day. Once you're in the academy, every privilege you had for being the son of the Lord will be removed. And whoever is appointed as the chief of the academy never cross his lines. He didn't mind it when he heard it, but he now realized it after experiencing it. He was against one of the strongest in the demonic cult. I apologize, sir. Chun Kung-won bowed and the other 5 heirs smirked.